first of all, I loved the book. I think
Thank you.
it's so cute. It's so fun. My wife and I are like super excited to read the book to our niece. And your whole artistry is very centered around kindness, and this seems like a very organic progression for you. But what inspired you to write a children's
Well, they asked me.
book?
um, no, I was so I had written and co-written a children's EP album in 2019 called Drag is Magic, and um, already the space of traveling and being a drag artist during the Trump era of during his presidency was already a bit chill. It had some red flags. There were some challenges, and then I released that kids album, and a lot of different things happened, and and personally, that were challenging for me to deal with and understand, and I think it just only reiterated the importance of the work that I wanted to do, which was to be in a family space for a lot of my career. Align myself with brands like Disney and with Nickelodeon, and do work that would be far-reaching for queer families, whether they be queer parents or parents of queer children. And then a book agent had heard the children's album and had come to me, and during this kind of like really uproarious little time period of my own life, and said, "Hey, this is a really great opportunity for you to write a children's book. We want to do something." Initially, it was going to be something like based off of one of the songs. One of the ideas was like doing the drag alphabet, or doing like a lyrical book version of Drag is Magic. And I said, no, actually, I really want to create my own story. I want to create like a fresh, new piece, which felt more, I think, organic for me. Like it's one thing to take lyrics to a song and put it to a picture book. But I felt like I had done that already with the music
Right.
video, and with kind of like, I was like, this feels done, and so I wanted to create something new. And so You Kind of Kind was born, and it was it was like a love letter to, I think, drag queens who are doing story times, and queer parents who are reading aloud to their kids, who had fought so hard for, be it their own biological children or adopted kids. Specifically those queer parents in my own life who are friends of mine who had, we finally got marriage equality in 2015, and they were building their own families here 5 years later. And I think that's where it really all started from. And I have to be honest with you also, I would never have known 3 years later how important it would have been, how pressing it was to have a drag queen like myself write a kid's book, and have it be coming out during this time period where there's so much going on that directly affects LGBTQI plus people, drag artists, whether it be the Don't Say Gay bill, or Idaho trying to put a bill into their legislature regarding drag performances and outlawing drag performances, or Texas. We'll pick a state, right? So I didn't know how pressing this would be, and I think there's a reason why it's happening the way it is. So I'm grateful to be a voice in that.
So you mentioned the children's album, and so both the album and the book, you address things that are fundamentally associated with drag and queer culture, but in a way that makes those things very accessible to children, which I think is absolutely essential. I know my own queer childhood would have benefited from someone like who does what you do.
Mine too, honestly.
Yeah. How did you decide to sort of just lean into creating media that is both inherently queer and specifically for kids?
Yeah, it's a really great question, because when I had expressed my desire to do this prior. So we filmed Drag Race, right? I mean, like hold on, let me take a step back. Because like it's all kind of built on itself. I've been doing drag for 22 years and creating content, writing live shows, building production shows for 18 years prior to my ever being on Drag Race. And so I had done a nightclub act, which is like a very adult oriented 18 and over act that's, was specific for a nightclub. Mm-hmm. I've done acts that were story times or drag brunches where families would be present. And I just saw this as a natural evolution of my own drag career, right? Like, and so when I went on Drag Race, I am a queen of a certain, I am a certain type of queen, right? So like, I am a camp queen, I'm a comedy queen, I'm a writer, I'm a director, I'm a producer. I kind of do it. I'm an actor. I kind of, like an everyman of drag in a sense where, I really have a very strong point of view. And I happen to be rooted in, I think, a lot of, not to be trite, but I'm rooted, I think, in kindness, and I'm rooted in, I'm just a big kid. I'm a big old kid and a 6'4", 44-year-old body. I'm like, and so I was trying to connect to that. And that's what drew me to wanting to be in these spaces, was that those were the things that inspired me. When I was a kid, it was the Muppets, it was Disney, it was animated, it was Looney Tunes and Warner Brothers cartoons. I mean, it was like all of these things, like that had like really inspired me as a kid to pull voices and make faces and be goofy and silly. And then I lost a lot of that, even in my own self when I was coming out. I became very ashamed of who I was. And I thought any one of those things made me a marker for being queer and gay, and that scared me, and so I really I tampered everything down. I toned myself down. And you said it. I would have really benefited from something like this as a kid. It would have saved me a lot of heartache and pain to know that someone out there, to see someone queer out there being successful and being healthy and being their authentic selves and not facing repercussions for who they are. And so that's why I think I'm here in this space. That's why I believe in it fully and intrinsically and through, and I know the importance of it and the value of it. And I also know that I'm like, I know that I am the person to do it, like I'm one of many people to do this, and exist in this world and tell these stories that are enveloped in love and in kindness and acceptance and diversity and providing space and agency that are very, very vital, especially now when we see it all being picked apart and targeted and ripped away. And I mean, that's a long answer and it's really convoluted, but
no, it's a very good answer.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's why. I mean, like, I want to be a beacon of hope. I want to be a bastion for change. I want to make sure that your kids, I don't have kids, but I want to make sure your kids and my friends' kids and my friends who are in these relationships all are able to sustain and go on and live the life that they've always dreamt of. And we've had our hands on it, right? We've touched it, and now it's being pulled away at us. And it requires all of us as specifically queer people to really put a flag in the ground and put a stake in the ground and say, these are things that we value and that we swear by and we live by. And these are tenets of who we are as a community and as a people, and we will defend and protect them. And like, I'm choosing to say that I think the family unit matters in a queer family. And I'm choosing to say that in turn, queer parents and parents of queer children have the right to choose the kind of content that they want to expose their children to. And in turn, I'm asking brands like Disney and Nickelodeon to see this and validate this and say, yes, you too have queer subscribers and queer parents who are consuming your product. They too want this content, and they too want access to this, and they too deserve to have their stories told. And so that's where this all is. And all of it's like circling around each other and kind of building off of one another to tell these stories.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm
sorry
so grateful for that. No, that's amazing. That was such a good answer. So in the book, one of the things that really struck me is that you offer advice for both the bullied and the bullies themselves, which I don't feel like I see a lot of children's books talk to the bully. So how did you decide to sort of offer that grace to kids who may be bullying for any reason?
Because I think that we all intrinsically are, we all at our core deserve love. We all
Absolutely.
deserve respect. We all deserve an act of kindness. And the
Absolutely.
greatest act of kindness that you can give to someone who is being mean to you is to say, I see you. And I think that that is a very, obviously it's in the book, but it is a very designed choice. And it's a much larger, louder representation of, I think, life for adults. You know, like, we are in this world now that requires us, I think, we can't yell into the ether. You know, we have to be willing to, especially now, we've got to figure out how we're going to talk to each other, because at the end of the day, we are going to have to deal with one another.
Right.
And I think allowing advice for a bully in these contexts also shows that you can make a defined choice to be the person who is the bully, or you can make a defined choice to be the person who goes out into the world and gives kindness and gives the giftogram and gives these wonderful, spastic, gestures that provide hope and joy for others. And that bully too should have the opportunity to see themselves in the story and say, I can also do this, and I can let go of this and become something better.
So the art in this book is just absolutely stunning by Hayden
Yeah.
Evans. How involved were you in sort of crafting the vision of the book? And just, there's people of all kinds in the book, which is essential.
Yeah. It's, again, when people read the book, whether it's a storyteller reading it aloud for an audience, or if the reader themselves are reading it privately, I did write the book to be read aloud. It is a book that's meant to be shared and spoken loudly, right? With these incredible, one of my favorite aspects is that we created this language, like our own words for the book, which was inspired by the Sherman brothers, who wrote Mary Poppins. But I wanted to create a story that allowed people to, I think, experience it in real time. And so in that, I think that's, so much value in having the story be shared in such a way. I completely forgot the question.
All good.
I was like this. I was like, wait. I mentioned the Sherman brothers. So I was like, wait, what was the question? Sorry. What did you ask? Oh my God, I haven't done that ever. Sorry.
No, all good. It's just about like how you felt about making sure that the visuals of the book.
I was like, okay, Andrew, you just gotta ask. You just gotta ask what the question is, because you forget. Yeah. So I worked in Hayden. Sorry.
Okay.
Hayden is brilliant, and I really do feel like he kind of created his own style of illustration for the book. If you look at the pictures, they're really layered, and there's a lot of texture. Like, even if you look at the cover, there's all these, like, in that rainbow pattern, there's stars and there's magic, and like everything just feels, the art and the illustration feels fresh, and it feels nostalgic at the same time. Like, it feels very familiar. And so when we were talking about it, I remember saying to him, like, he's like, oh, well, who are some of your inspirations? Like, so I can have an idea of, like, capturing the essence of Nina. Like, what are some of those things that you really have looked towards? I've created your own tapestry of Nina West. And I was like, well, if we're going to talk about art, Mary Blair, who is a very famous Disney artist, who did, like, the design for It's a Small World, did the storyboards for Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan. Just this very whimsical, beautiful, kind of like fairy tale-esque, but very, the colors were just so vivid. And then Brittany Lee, who's another Disney artist who's done a lot of, like, art for projects like Frozen. where the use of color and shape helps tell the story. And if you really, the shape of this book, Hayden really captured that. We wanted to work in, I remember just having simple conversations about shapes and how a young eye would view the book. So we really wanted to go with round and soft and curves that provided a lot of, I think, wonder and an infinite hope of potential in kindness, right? And what circles represent. And so like a lot of how you see the artwork, it's very rounded. It's not angular. But the backdrops provide angles. So it started there, and then it became color palette, and then it became then he started to provide the layouts, and we would make small adjustments and of the like, but it was like once we got to that point, Hayden was really very much, he knew we were friends. So prior to this collaboration, so he knew who I was as a person. He knew how I had informed decisions with Nina. So it seemed really logical in his adaptation of that for the storytelling of the book. And I can't say enough. I mean, I'm really lucky that I get to be his first book, because I think this is just the beginning for him. And I think that we're going to get to see his art on a lot of other projects. And I think that's really exciting for Hayden and for his family, because this is like, I think this is just the beginning for him.
Absolutely. Speaking of the art, I'm pretty sure I spotted Dolly Parton in there. And you also
pretty sure she's in there, yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you also got an endorsement from the Queen herself. How do you feel about having that stamp of approval?
I mean, like in a book about kindness and about giving kindness and about discovering kindness, I don't think there's a better example of how to live a life based in kindness and joy than with Dolly Parton. And so, I mean, it's a pinch me moment. It's otherworldly. I mean, what is this life and what is this reality? I don't know, but I do know that I'm very grateful that she has been so lovingly attentive to me and to my career, and very invested in the kindness and the style of kindness that I give through my art of drag. You know, I think it's very, it says a lot, right? She says a lot without saying anything. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and I think that's the value of her. She's traditionally and very apolitical. She doesn't really get involved in a lot of political conversations. But I think we know where she stands on supporting, I think, queer voices and queer artists and our community, and how we too can be messengers of kindness. And I think that's really important, because she has such a wide fan base of mm-hmm. people who come from all walks of life, all over the world. And she has told people through this action that she values this, and that's really powerful.
So besides Dolly and yourself, are there any other illustrations that you and Hayden snuck in there of people that you know, people that we might know?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Easter eggs in the book. If you look, and so there's a ton of Easter eggs. When you open up the book opens the exact same way that Hairspray opened. So we see, when we open the very first page of action, we see little Nina in her bed, as almost like the camera, we're looking down on her, the audience viewer's eyes looking down on Nina. It's exactly the same way Hairspray the musical starts, which is literally a tribute to Jack O'Brien, the director of Hairspray, which is exactly celebrating that. If you look at the second page, I'm just going to go through a couple of them. If you look at the second page, you can see RuPaul. There's a poster of RuPaul on the wall, which I wanted to celebrate. Again, I'm celebrating people who have allowed me to have these opportunities, right? So little Nina celebrates RuPaul. If you go to the next layout, I'm only going to get when little Nina goes into her closet to find her outfit for the day. Mm-hmm. If you look at the outfits, they're all different incarnations and representations of my drag career. So you'll see the outfit that I wear as Edna Turnblad right here, one from Welcome to the 60s. You'll see my Storytime outfit right here, which is I did for all over the pandemic. And it's the outfit from the Drag Alphabet music video, which I used for all of my story time. This is my entrance look for RuPaul's Drag Race, season 11, with my yellow outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And then this rainbow outfit is also a salute to my Nickelodeon collaboration with Blue's Clues, because that's how I was animated in this outfit.
Yes.
And this is a Disney salute here with the hat that coincides for Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney. And then there are, of course, a couple other hidden Easter eggs that I don't want to give away because I want the readers to find them. But I will say on this page here, well, I mean, there's obvious one. Nicole Byer is right here. Nicole Byer is a friend of mine. And I wanted to celebrate her and comedy and how important it is that we celebrate and we can laugh with one another. I think it's a really big thing. There's John Waters is in the book right here, walking outside. Another Hairspray Hardy Har Hut celebration, but John Waters is right here in the book. As you said, Dolly's in the book. And then my best friend, Patricia, who I've been friends with for 22 years, my best friend, she's in the book walking my dogs right here. These two are my dogs, Edgar and Felicity. My parents are in the book. My sisters have representation in the book. Dolly's in the book. Hayden has a few Easter eggs of his family in the book. There's a couple more celebrity spottings and even like just Nina West isms within the book that a true Nina West fan will find, and I think be like find joy in, like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So yeah, it's I couldn't have imagined this ever happening. I'm going to be honest with you. And it's happening in such an I couldn't have understood the time period of it and when it's happening, and I just am really grateful that it's happening at all.
I love that you guys were able to include all of those little Easter eggs just by looking around at your own life, and the book is then in turn very representative of all kinds of people because all kinds of people are involved in your life. So you have a bit in the book about making up words. What is your favorite word that you've made up?
I love was fastic. I love the word was fastic. And so I have created these characters called Wuzzles, and they are in another iteration of another book that I've written that may or may not ever see the light of day. But when I was working on this manuscript with my editor, I was like, I love this idea of these things that give us this feeling. And so was fastic was and is kind of this representation throughout the book of when you give kindness, you feel was fastic. And in turn, the act of kindness begets all these little stars all around you that Hayden perfectly and beautifully captures. And so these little stars are representations of that was fastic feeling, that kindness. So was fastic to me is the best, my favorite word. But like there's superfluous and giftogram, a gift, like, and I wrote a song to be released with this book called The You Kind of Kind that has this lyric video that also comes out next Tuesday, and it's and there are also other like words in that, snippery snappery sleuth, being something that's not afraid to go out into the world and like discover. And again, it's an homage to things that when I was a kid, I mean, you couldn't have told me supercalifragilisticexpialidocious wasn't the best word in the world. And so it was like, and I was, as you grow and like you learn things, and I learned that like the Sherman Brothers just delighted in creating words for kids and families to get tongue tied on and to celebrate and find the joy and excitement in. And there was a kinetic energy in that I really wanted to create as well. And was fastic, I think it's like a really great first extension of I think world building for this, which I love.
So you recently got to play drag legend Divine in the biopic Weird, which comes out next month in just a couple weeks. Can you talk a bit about that experience and what it was like, what you did to prepare, and what it was like to embody such a touchstone of queer culture and carry that legacy as a touchstone of queer culture yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool because I feel like, a lot of these roads are intersecting and all of these fabrics are like being woven to create like this kind of a career that I'm having right now and I'm experiencing, because I'm doing Hairspray the musical, which the original role of Edna Turnblad was created by Divine in the John Waters film in 1988. And John Waters and Divine are these massive, queer icons, and then the role of Edna was Harvey Firestein's, which he won a Tony Award for on Broadway. Harvey Firestein, massive queer voice, icon, who wrote Torch Song Trilogy and La Cage aux Folles and the book to Kinky Boots. I mean, the man is prolific in the storytelling for our community. And so then to go to, to be on the road on tour, I forget where I was. I might have been in Detroit or Chicago when I got the call and said, hey, we have this offer for you to go to Los Angeles for a day and shoot the Weird Al Yankovic movie with Daniel Radcliffe, and you're going to be Divine. And it was like another like, what the hell? Like pinch me moment. Like, this is not real. To I think perfectly fitting, right? Divine is someone who led a life very seemingly very fearlessly and fierce and brave, and was just a true original. And Weird Al Yankovic is a true original. Like there's no one like Al. And Daniel Radcliffe is a true original. There's no one like Dan. And my book, New Kind of Kind, I'm asking people to celebrate their true originality. They're you. And it just, to go do that project was like, I mean, absolutely a highlight of my career. I couldn't have dreamt of anything more fantastic or fabulous. I think Eric, who's the director of Weird, is brilliant. Al Yankovic is one of the nicest people I've ever encountered in the industry, if not in my life, who was absolutely so caring and so committed to his crew and his team and his actors coming together to share this wonderful story in such a fantastically fabulous way. And my preparation really was getting a script and getting on a plane and sneaking away to Los Angeles for a couple of days to go do this high profile top secret project, and then coming back to the show, missing only one show, literally landing at 5:00 in Madison, Wisconsin for the Wednesday night show, at 7:30 going straight to the theater and getting ready to do a show without really people knowing that I'd been gone. And I think all of that just led to a really exciting time in my life that is now coming out to the world. And and it comes out like simultaneously, like the week after my book is released, and it all just feels purely serendipitous and fantastic and wonderful. And I think if there's anything we can learn from the life of Weird Al, it's that beat to your own drum and be you.
Yeah,
be wonderful and be weird and be weird. I think there's something fabulous about being weird.
absolutely. So lastly, you're set to host the Drag Queen Christmas Tour starting next month, even. What can you tell people about that? Get the fans excited.
Yeah, Drag Queen Christmas. I'm returning. This is my third year as their host. I got to host in 2019. I hosted the virtual event with Trinity in 2020, and then I'm back again this year for the tour in 2022. And this is like such a fun, fantastic celebration of the holiday season with your favorite drag artists. I mean, we have artists from we've got Jimbo from Canada's Drag Race, Todrick Hall, Trinity the Tuck, it's Monet. No, start over. But we have a bunch of drag artists from Todrick Hall, Trinity the Tuck, Brooklyn Heights, Jimbo from Canada's Drag Race, the Manila Luzon. The list is so long and so vast, and every city lineup is different. But we're touring all over the country. I think it's like 36 cities. I'm doing 29 of those. And I can't wait to celebrate the holiday season with everybody.
Excellent. That's amazing. I hope that maybe we can catch you on tour.
That'd be lovely. Please come.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
You're
one of our favorite queens here in my very queer household.
Thank you.
So I couldn't be more honored to speak with you, and I hope you have a superbluous day.
Thank you. I hope you have a was-fastic weekend. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.